Are we here? Are we live? Is this? Are we
You've
back?
got 5 seconds.
I've got five. No,
Three.
that's there's a delay there, man. Don't you know about these things?
No, you told me to look at that.
Jesus, told you a million times. Here's some music for you. There you go.
I like that song.
Like. Anyways, welcome to the Creative Spin Podcast live on YouTube on the Creative 7 channel. We will be recording this and editing it because now we have like a whole bunch of cameras going on, and I think it's gonna be good. Now, why can't I hear well? Like, what is going on? Why didn't you
It's
test
called-
this before?
It's called age.
What? Oh, funny thing here. I don't know. This is what happens on the live streams. You never know what's gonna.
Well,
you know?
if I can hear you perfectly well.
Can you hear me perfectly
Yes.
well? Okay, I guess it's just me. It's old age. I guess you're right.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. It's the volume
Karma.
thingy.
Oh, it usually works.
Well,
Yes.
You know, when you have so many damn buttons to press, sometimes you miss some. Oh gosh, oh golly. Now, one of the things that whoa, I just hit that button again.
You just like that song, don't you?
I love that sound. I almost feel like we should start this all over, but since we're live, we can't really do anything much and just keep
And
on
this
going.
is what's cool about it.
This is what's cool about it, yeah. For those of you who are watching right now, my name is Jamie, and your name is Anna. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank
It's
you.
been a while, actually.
It has been, yes.
We took holidays. No, we didn't. We were just
I was
working.
gonna say didn't feel like it, but okay.
Yeah, we've just been working a lot lately,
Vacation at
and yeah, it's not the type of vacation I like that much,
I don't really like it at all.
but it is what it is. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been kind of all over the place.
It's been educational.
That's one way to put it. It's definitely been different than usual, but it's all good. It's all good. I think one of the things that we've learned throughout this little journey of being stuck, quote unquote, at home and trying to keep the social distancing and all those beautiful things that are out there now in the world. I think what we've learned is that we just have to adapt, right? And sometimes there's a learning curve for everything. We need to understand that things aren't, things have changed, and
I feel like this type of change was bound to happen, but we were just as a society not into it, and all of a sudden we were forced into it, right? But I had read and I had heard people mentioning, what if companies began working from home and this and that. Oh no, but I need to go to work. Oh no, but I need my office space.
And it's
so
funny you're saying that because that's the topic I chose.
you see, but I believe that's why I say it was educational. And for me, no pun intended, but it was really educational because I found myself teaching my classes, teaching our son, teaching our daughter, and it was
a lot of teaching.
It was insane.
I have
it's
to
not
say,
over yet, but
teaching is not my forte. It's not my thing. I did help out in
you did
any of the projects that they had that had anything to do with creativity, design,
anything art. I just send it over.
I had
I
it,
was like,
right? I had it. I got it. Not a problem whatsoever. But when it came to the educational stuff, it was an eye opener. Here we go. It's like one of the things I want to talk about, obviously in this podcast, we're going to talk about the working from home situation, what we've learned so far, and where we think our own opinions and where all of this is going. But I just wanted to, before we hit that intro and start into that topic, I just wanted to say, we've learned a lot when it comes to, being at home with our kids and teaching them and how difficult it was. Like, I don't think a lot of people understood how difficult it would be to be home and have to
manage
put
all
aside
of
some time for the kids and manage them and the time that we have and all of this stuff. But that we've already spoken about on the last one. Stop talking about the same damn thing, man. Like,
I'm not.
People
I'm just saying
are
it was educational.
"What? Okay, geez, How about we just hit that intro?
Yeah.
How about that? Today's podcast is brought to you by Workplace One, a company offering boutique private offices, co-working spaces, and virtual office solutions, as well as meeting rooms in the best neighborhoods of Toronto and Kitchener-Waterloo. Ideal for entrepreneurs, companies, and passionate business people. Workplace One is where you want to be with your business. For more information, go over to workplaceone.com. So I'm playing with this because I was recording before, and
You really like it, don't you?
Yeah, it's the Rode wireless thing. I was recording the whole setup of this, and yeah, so people at home can see how I set this up,
Which is in record time, might
It's like,
say. Yeah.
Like,
I have to say it is in record time.
Well, we've been playing around with this thing for over 2
For
years,
some
like
time,
almost 3
yes.
years now. So it is, we do have the equipment, and we've set it up quite a few times. So it's, it kind of goes. But now let's go back to the topic, working from home. I'm going to stop this music because it keeps coming up. I don't know why, because I think I put it on a loop.
Most likely.
That might have been it.
Most likely.
This one is becoming interesting, I have to say.
I have to say they all are one way
They
or
all
another.
are, right?
Yes.
This life with me is always this interesting, I have to say, right?
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay, so the topic today is working from home, and I want to touch on a couple of different subjects and try to pick your brain, get your 2 cents on this subject as well. And anybody that is watching us live or that is watching the replay or listening to us on any of the podcast apps out there, leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think about working at home, the whole situation. For some people, it's a big change. Many people were used to, the normal 9 to 5 job. You get out of the house, you go to your office, and you do your 8 hours and you're home. Now things have changed because of this whole situation, let's call it that. And a lot of businesses are now have decided to, let's try this whole working from home situation even more, and let's see if this works out. I think the technology has been here for a while.
Yep.
I think we've had all of these, pieces of equipment, software, all of these
all the
things.
gadgets have been here, yeah.
They've been here for a while, but like anything, it takes time for people to get used to it.
Because you have to step away and step out of your comfort zone. And I think that's the number one reason for that.
And this whole situation that we've been going through in the world is really catapulted, sped up the whole situation. It's like, okay, you don't have a choice.
In ways we
Now
could
you
never
have to do it.
imagine. Yeah.
So, but now we're kind of going into a different zone. We're now starting to see people going back to work. A lot of places are trying to go back into a normal life somewhat.
Yeah.
But, and there's that big but, because it's not that big but like my butt, but it's a big but in the sense of, come on, I had to say it. It's like a dad joke. I'm a dad. I have to put that joke out there, man. Come on.
We need to call Sophia.
Jeez. No, don't call the teenager down here because she'll just rip me apart. But the big but is the fact that now, are we going to go back in the exact same way that we were before, doing the exact same hours, I don't think so.
Well, I don't think we can. That's.
I don't think we should.
Or that, for that matter, right?
I don't know.
Like in the situation of school, I don't think I can. I don't think it's possible to have 30 students inside one classroom plus the teacher in the same setting where you stretched your hand and you could touch the other person, right?
But I also think that...
And offices were the same because there were cubicles in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah, but okay. Let's talk about the next few months in this whole transition back into normal life. Let's call it that. And then what's going to happen after that?
After that, yeah.
Because I hope, and I think most people are hoping that eventually things will go back to normal. We are not going to be having to keep the social distancing the way we we're doing now, and having to have all of these restrictions and all of these things. Hopefully one day soon we will go back to that. But for now, you're right. Like in a small office scenario, or even like a whole office floor, how are we going to manage that? It's going to be hard. So a lot of the companies, and that's kind of like the whole premises of today's episode, is looking into what's happening, because I was kind of digging around online, and I found a couple of articles that were talking about this. A lot of the employees are now looking into monitoring the employee at home. So there's software out there that can see if the employee is working.
It's actually working, yeah.
To see if how many hours they're in front of the computer, what they're dealing with, and all of that. Some of these softwares actually have the capability of taking snapshots of the employee in front of the computer. But together with this article, there was a lot of controversy when it comes to privacy.
I was going to say that, yeah.
And this is one of those subjects where I get it from the side. Like I have my own company. I don't have employees anymore per se. I have people that work for me, with me on projects as freelancers. I kind of get it. I get it. Like if you're paying someone X amount of hours a day, X amount of hours a week, you want to make sure that they're actually doing the work. And
I guess it's accountability, right?
It's a bit of the accountability. But now I do have another question that's kind of related to this one. Well, now you're working from home, and let's say your regular hours are 8 hours a day. Do you have to have the 9 to 5 hours? Like I'm guessing in some cases you do.
You might have to, yes.
But in other cases,
as long as you punch in the 8 hours,
does it really matter if you start at 10 o'clock in the morning or end at midnight or whatever time that suits your lifestyle a little bit better, that you prefer to work with? Like some people are morning people. You're an evening person.
Yeah, I'm a night person, yes.
So in that sense, you would probably work better in the evening, but
absolutely.
In your line of work, you can't because you're a teacher. So you would have to actually be the 9 to 5. Well, in your case, it would be 8.
Well, no, we start at 8:30
to 3, right? Yeah. So you would actually have to be there and do that. Now, when it comes to the privacy thing, the world has changed. I think my answer to this one, in my personal opinion, is the world has changed. You have a choice. Right? If you choose to say, okay, you know what? I want to work from home, and I get it. You want to see if I'm doing the work. Fine, great. Well, then you take on that responsibility of probably don't point that camera to a certain part of your house that you don't want people to see.
And some software, like I've been using Zoom with my meetings, and there's actually the wallpaper feature that blocks everything but your face,
and
right?
You can be in the beach all of a sudden.
You can be anywhere, really. So I like in my personal perspective, even teaching, there is that human contact, the one-to-one that is needed.
100%.
But I wouldn't say it's needed Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 3. What this whole quarantine taught me, and I don't know if outside my career other people feel this way, it gave me, as crazy as it was to adapt, because there were so many different things happening so fast, it gave me a sense of quality of life that I guess I was longing. I just didn't know it was possible to have. I don't know if this makes any sense. Okay. But
explain yourself,
what I'm trying to say is, as crazy as having to teach my classes and our kids and all of that was, it allowed me to see that it might be possible to, for example, go to school 1 or 2 days a week and then do the rest of the teaching from home. And the quality of life, not just mine, I'm hoping this goes beyond just one career, comes from the fact that I'm not stressing for an hour on the road, going to work and coming home.
Listen, I totally get that.
Right?
I made my life changes a couple of years ago because of that same matter.
And that's those 2 hours I found were precious to be with my family.
Yeah.
I found that there are a lot of things that it's almost like we were on this automatic switch, get up to this, to this, to this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it made you take a step back and realize, wait a minute, I can still work. I can still produce the same type of work and not be so stressful.
So
that's what I mean by that.
Would you be in favor of having, like, I'm going to call it a blend work week?
Absolutely.
In which you could have, let's say, instead of going to work 5 days a week, you would go 2 days a week and then work the other 3 days from home.
Absolutely. I would sign up. Yes, for sure. Because of many different reasons. But I believe that this quality of life I didn't know. I guess I've always, see, as human beings, you sort of wish, okay, I wish I could do this. And it came to be in the most bizarre situation, right? But it came to show you that is possible.
And it was possible even before. I know a lot of people that were already in that kind of zone in which they would be working like a day or two from home, not having to commute every single day.
But I think the mentality from the corporate side or the higher...
I don't think it was there.
I don't think so.
We weren't thinking that way.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about companies that were doing that already, I think those were companies that had a kind of a vision of the future and saying, you know what, why do I have to have somebody here for all those hours, commuting, spending 2-3 hours a day to get here and go back home? It doesn't make any sense when technology now, I mean, everybody, if you have a computer that, is somewhat okay, you can do most of the work. Yeah. Now, again, this, I mean, we're trying to say that almost everybody can do this. And I realize, like, if it's a hands-on job, obviously you got to go. You have to be there. You have to do what you have to do. I mean, I don't see a mechanic being able to work from home.
But again, it's just like everything in life, right? You cannot apply one theory to everything.
To everybody, right? I think what we're trying to say is people that are working in an office environment or in a school.
Where there is that possibility.
I think that this whole situation has catapulted us to see the potential of most people that are in that situation to start doing that.
The thing is, you save time, you save gas, you save the environment because you're not polluting.
And if you think about it, like if you have an office space where there's like, let's say 10, 20 people working there, now you can kind of divide things up and say, you know what, instead of everybody being in the office at the same time, you can let's divide. You
shifts.
3 are going to be here on Mondays. You 3 are going to be here on Tuesdays, and so on and so forth.
I agree.
And this way, you're not going to have a full office. Secondly, companies will save a lot of money because they won't need as much space, right? Probably an option here is if a company will be saving so much money because of that, probably that can be a good way to
give an incentive.
Give an incentive to the employee, give an extra $1 or $2 an hour, or whatever it is, whatever is reasonable and makes sense for every company. But from my perspective, if you're saving, you might as well give that to the person, because now here comes the other situation. Oh yeah, you can work from home, but hold on. Not everybody has a space at home that they can just say, okay, I'm going to make this my workplace. Because it is, let's take Toronto for example, downtown. If you're living in a one-bedroom apartment in downtown Toronto, you're not going to have a lot of space. So how are you going to figure this one out?
Yep.
How's that going to work out? Like,
but do most people have a sort of like a corner they call an office, right?
But the company also it's a but kind of D. The company now has to look at that and say, okay, my employee is working from home. Great. He's still doing the job. Okay, but I probably have to give him some money for the space that is his and that he's using for my company, right? I think now there's going to be a lot of that kind of negotiation going on, because it makes total sense. And I totally get that. People are going to say, you know what? Yeah, I can work from home, but listen, I need to be compensated for using my electricity, my
Yeah.
computer, my furniture, my Wi-Fi, my
Yeah.
everything, right? So I think there's a big need for I think a big conversation of it.
Yeah,
Let's
there's a
all sit
dialogue.
down and
Yeah.
let's all figure this out. But my honest opinion is that within the next 6 months, we're going to see a humongous shift when it comes to this situation. I think there's going to be a lot more companies doing this.
And I think that in my case, again, because there's an accumulation of people in one place, that's the best way I can put it. It might have to be the solution, right? What are they going to do? Tear down the buildings and build new schools with more space? Like,
I know the school boards still haven't said anything. Everything is up and above in the clouds because we don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah.
When it comes to Toronto, I mean, Ontario, we're still kind of going through, they're still slowly opening up stuff. So where they're trying things out, seeing how the numbers are going to be and all that kind of stuff. So there's a big cloud of uncertainty above us that we don't know what's going to happen, especially for you guys in September. My gut feeling is that it's going to be a tough situation because let's say, as an example, in your school, you have 2,000 students, over 2,000 students. If there is this whole social distancing still happening at that time.
Oh, you can't.
It's going to be impossible.
Oh, no, it's impossible unless you work in the building. The traffic on the hallways when the bell rings, it's shoulder to shoulder because there's a lot of us.
And then the other thing is going to be like, how are you going to coordinate everybody's schedule? It's going to be a freaking nightmare.
And this is the reason why I think that it makes sense to have, for example, if you have the school, like the first floor has 10 classes, you reduce them to 2 or 3 a day, whatever works out. And they go there once a week, and then the other days you have that synchronous learning. And again, there have been issues with the privacy.
It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard because now what are you going to do if you have a class of 25 kids, right? So when you look at the square footage of a classroom, you're probably only going to be able to have 10 kids in a classroom.
Yeah.
So now not only are you bringing down the number of classes you're going to have, you're going to bring down the number of students
as well. Yes,
and
for sure.
who's going to choose the students that are going to be there at certain days, certain weeks?
And there were a lot of cuts in education that do not allow for a lot of, looking at different scenarios. I guess you can't manipulate things.
I mean, this is not an easy situation.
No, absolutely not. No,
it's not an easy situation for companies. It's not an easy situation for education.
Any field, I would say.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's we're definitely living in a
Having
in a very
said that,
complicated
though,
world.
I feel like, again, due to the circumstances, so fast, everything going so crazy, there were a lot of things that worked really well, but there were others that obviously couldn't work that well. But I think that now that we've been a few months into this, and there's that possibility that maybe things won't work well in September, I believe that it can be done better, the from home situation, the from home teaching and learning.
I think not speaking educational, because I think that's completely different. Like it's different from the
you can't compare it to the corporate world.
The corporate world, it's very different. But for the educational side, I think and I hope that the school boards and everybody involved and the ministry and all of that, they're really looking into how they can do that. Because, I mean, we have 2 kids at home, too. You were teaching your 80-something kids, and you were helping our 2 kids here, 2 different grades, grade 4, grade 10. And you still have to put up with me. That was a fun part. Come on.
Read my silence.
Tell everybody the truth. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle on both ends because you were inventing stuff.
I was exhausted at the end of the week.
You had to come up with ways to explain your lessons and to do because nothing was prepared for that. No. And that on the flip side, the teachers, Sophia and Tiago's teachers, they were doing the same thing on their end.
Which they were doing an amazing job. But the thing is, it was so new and so different. And then in the case of our son, not so much, because all the kids in his class actually had access to technology and Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But in the case of our daughters and in case of a lot of my students, they didn't even have Wi-Fi at home, right?
What are you going to do now?
And so for the first 2 to 3 weeks, I had to wait for assignments to come in. Not that the students couldn't do them. It's just they didn't have a way to submit them.
Well, they couldn't do them, right? They
But exactly, they couldn't have access to them and submit them.
Yeah,
So
it sucks, man.
yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting next couple of months. Hopefully, this whole damn whoa, I almost broke something. This whole situation is going to calm down and things will go back to normal. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping so. But
the good news is that I was reading this morning. I was going through the news and I believe it's here in Canada. I read so many things that there is. That's my problem. I just go through so many news. But I believe it was in Canada. They believe there's a perspective that the vaccine will be available within months and not within years as it was thought about a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Let's be optimistic and think that will be the case.
And then I was gonna get into some other stuff. I'm not gonna get into
that.
There's
no need for that.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But for you guys that are watching us or listening to us, let us know in the comments what you guys think about this whole situation. Are you working from home already? Are you going to be working from home more often?
And I'm curious to know, actually, let us know if you find that it gives you quality of life. For me, it makes sense. And I'm always wondering, am I crazy?
Well, no, I think it has. Everybody's life is a little bit different. Like, do you have kids? Do you not have kids?
Well,
do you live in a house?
exactly.
Do you live, in an apartment or a condo? Do you live in a city, outside of the city? I think all of these different.
I'd like to hear different
all of
opinions
these
about
different. There's so many variables.
Exactly. So it's good to
let us know.
to know them, right? Because sometimes you can't even think about, oh, wait a minute, this person said this, I never thought about it, right? So it's good to know.
All right. I think that's it for us right now. We're going to keep on going on this end to finish off that video I was doing. The video that I was doing, guys, it's all about how I set up this podcast. That will be available in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, if I can do things quickly, on our Creative 7 channel.
Well, if you do it as quickly as you set up, it will be available soon. That's for sure.
We'll see about that. But yeah, let us know as well if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover. I mean, that's always a good and interesting thing, is getting your feedback in some of the topics. I know one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was the PlayStation 5, but it's not something that my dear colleague and co-host Anna is very familiar with. But
familiar at all.
Should I do a video about it? Like, should we do a podcast?
Oh my God.
Getting your opinion on it?
Sure.
Could it be the next podcast of the Creative Spin?
Let's just say that when you were watching, what were you watching? It was a live event?
It was just it was a live presentation.
Oh,
of an
okay.
event. Yeah.
Let's just say I used those headphones because they block sound to do my work, because everyone was into it. And
So cruel. No, it was just me and Tiago.
No, Sophia was watching it.
Oh yeah, Sophia was watching it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
no,
anyways,
hey, I respect it. I don't.
We'll probably get.
And why are we getting a 5? What's wrong with a 4?
The 4 is good. It's a good gaming machine.
I thought so, because I see it being used a lot.
Why do I feel like I'm the student and you're the teacher right now? Why do I feel? I feel attacked.
Sure.
Honestly.
Trust her to turn things around.
Jeez. So you heard it here first. The next episode of the Creative Spin podcast is all about gaming.
Not with Anna.
All right. I'm going to have to find somebody that wants to talk about this subject with me. I guess that's the whole thing. So
the thing is that it will be a monologue. What can I possibly say?
Listen.
Okay.
You still have an opinion.
Hey, sure.
Right?
Okay.
As an outsider, as a mom, as whatever, you can have an opinion on that.
It just reminded me of that Chipmunks movie. Pew, 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 pew. That's pretty much my opinion on it.
Did you get that sound? I love the sound. Got so many little sounds. I have to see what happened to the other button, though.
Listen.
I did have a button here that used to do a lot of stuff. and showcase things and magic. Yeah. You know, things would pop up. Yeah. It didn't.
As the French say, disparu.
It didn't happen. But look, now it worked. See? Now this one it worked. It's the outro. It's what we call in technical words of the video world.
So basically, be quiet because we're done.
Where see the music is playing and you have to speak because it's going away. You're done. All right, guys, thank you for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.